guys, Robert here. So a quick little video today. I'm going to show you how I load the really big logs onto my mill. Some of the smaller stuff I tend to just manhandle with a logger's pulp hook. Spruce up to 10 inches in diameter, 8 feet long. Most hardwoods up to maybe 10 inches in diameter, 5 feet long. I can usually manhandle, throw them just spot in the mill. I don't need to use ramps. I don't need to use anything fancy. And it just saves me from having to set up the ramps every time. But sometimes you'll get into some really big wood that you want to load onto the mill, and you need to have the right setup for that. So I'm sitting on the log today. It's a pine log. It's about 24 inches across at the butt, 17 on the small end, exactly 8 feet long. Estimated weight could be as much as 1,000, 1,500 pounds, green. So it's not exactly a lightweight log to be getting up on top of your mill deck. So this video is just showing you how I do it. Everybody's kind of different. Depends on your gear and your setup. Quick note about safety before I show you this. Only you're in charge of your own safety. I can't tell you how to be safe doing your own milling setup. I can just tell you how I be safe. Common sense, take the right precautions. For me, I like to wear steel-toe boots, but I don't like lacing them up all the way. The reason being is I don't gain anything by the ankle support having them laced up, because I don't lace them all the way to the top of the thing. And if I have a crush injury or I get pinned, if they're not laced tightly, I can slip my foot out and might potentially save me from being pinned. Gloves are pretty important. Sometimes you're dealing with some very coarse bark that could really tear up your skins. I have an eczema problem on my hands, so sometimes when it's on a flare up, it's really hard to handle things, so the gloves are a must. Usually I'd be wearing something cover my legs, but it's quite warm out today. On the mill, for safety on the mill, you want to make sure you have some way to prevent your logs from rolling off the other side once you get up top. In the case of my mill, my dogs are on the far side, my log rest dogs, and I'm able to have them raised up, and it will prevent the log from rolling into my sawdust. Obviously, that would be very bad if it rolled into the sawdust, as there's no easy way to get it out, especially a log this big. So just be safe, common sense. If it looks like it's not going to be able to stay on the ramps and wants to roll backwards, just let it. Get out of its way. I try to not do all my rolling in the dead center. Usually the log has some kind of heavier end. In the case of this one, it's quite a heavy end, so that your balance of center is more towards one side than the other. So tool of choice today is going to be the 4-foot Woodlands Mill cant hook. It's a steel hook, bit with a aluminum handle, nice rubber grip. I picked this up at my local, well, I say local, but it's an hour and a half away, Woodland Mills dealer, registered dealer here. Instead of purchasing online, it was like 135 bucks. Most cant hooks are around that. I also have a 4-foot PV, but it doesn't bite as well as the cant hook, and I find sometimes I want both ends to be biting on these rounds, even though cant hooks are more meant for cants and PVs are more meant for logs. There's a big debate there. PVs are nice because you can spike from the ground, you keep them standing up, but the cant hook is arguably a better bite when you're dealing with really heavy stuff. So here we go. So I don't know how well the video translates it. The log is at a bit of an angle to my to my ramps. This butt end is a little bit closer to me than the small end. And that's kind of partially by design. This end, your bigger diameter is going to roll faster, and you're kind of going to go up on a bit of an angle at some point. So starting at an angle helps. So get the camera facing the log a little better here. So cant hook, got a bite on both ends. So you start off really low on your log. Give it a forward jab, pull up on your handle. This log is a bit oval. It's wider than it is tall. So you see me kind of struggling there for a second, but once it gets past the curve, it'll kind of fall down on its own. So we're on the ramps now. We're still on a nice little kickback. So again, start off really low. So once you're up on the ramps, you can kind of all right, guys, so I just went and got my rock bar. This is about a 4.5 foot rock bar. And this will be helpful for shimmying up that low end. I also grabbed a better wedge. If memory served me, this actually was cut from one of my ramps. So the goal here was to slide this end up using the rock bar. Okay, so we're pre-parallel now. So I could take the ramp, I could use the cant hook again to get my roll. So I also want to check to see where my log ends up on my dogs. So partway through this, I might want to slide the big end down a little bit just to change the angle of attack. And like keep the wedge on the ramp even before it's really needed. So again, start fairly low. Bring your hook in so it hooks. Your cant on the top will bite. A lot more than I do. By using the principles of leverage, you get it quite up there. I'd like to have a longer cant hook, but as you can see, my mill roof prohibits that. So I'm going to slide this end down a little bit. I'm going to use my little wooden block as kind of a chalk, because I want this end lower so that it kind of goes up the ramp sideways more towards the head, because I need it to go up that way a little bit. But also, again, the extreme difference in diameter causes this to want to roll faster. So this end is rolling a lot slower than this, so this will always get ahead on these slightly more twisted logs. If you have a fairly straight log, it's usually not a problem. Now my log's a little more twisted again, so as it goes up before it gets straight again, it'll want to go up this way a bit. So, and I'm going to actually be rolling up this end now. Normally I would roll the center of balance, but this the wetness on the outside log is causing it to slip on my ramps, and I want to be able to roll from the end that's causing that. Okay. So it looks like I'm not going to be able to roll this any higher because of the slipping. So I'm going to show you a little technique that can help you if you come into this situation. What you want to do is wrap a strap around your log and position it in such a way that you're almost arbuckling, so that as you roll the log, it kind of forces itself up. So I just happen to have a strap here with me today, just in case this happens. So it's just a piece of ratchet strap I keep on the mill at all times. Alright guys, so I got the log strapped up now. Now as I roll it, the strap is going to tighten and wrap around the bottom, and if it tries to slide, it's not going to be able to. It'll also help that end from rolling down on me as a free position. And just sometimes something you have to do when you're dealing with older logs like this that are a little bit slippery and you're using wooden ramps. If you had metal ramps like Norwood's, probably wouldn't be as big an issue. Because underneath the bark, it's slippery. Again, my ramp is not the smoothest, is not the coarsest, but I kind of want it, again, more on an angle. Now, if it slips any more, I may have to consider getting a strap. So I'll get you guys moved in a little closer. So right there behind my finger is where my log dog is. So once this kind of mounts up on the mill, it'll be lined up with my dogs. So my log is a little crooked on the ramps, a little excessively crooked, but it's right where I want it. So now I have to get the heavy end barred up over the ramp, and it probably caught it on video that it fell. It slid backwards. So we'll take the 4-foot digging bar. So now that the log's up on the mill, move your ramps out of the way. Then now that it's up on the mill deck, you kind of want to assess how you want to mill it. It's in the orientation I want to mill it, it's just not on the deck the way I want it. So I'll move the log, I gotta move the log inwards a bit. So I'll just put it right up against the frame. So I'm gonna bring these in a bit closer. So the height of my log dogs means I can't. Not the height of my log dogs. Where my log dogs are. Even if I have my idle wheel all the way out, I'm still way too close to the head, the butt of this log. So what I can do is I'll probably end up taking a chainsaw and cutting off probably 4 inches of this when I go to start milling it, because it is a bit of a flare. To compensate some of the width, I can change how my dog is positioned. So I can lower my dog and get it down on the curb a bit better. Again, just have to be careful where the log sits. So. So yeah, I'm going to end up having to cut that off a little bit. And now down this end, because my log has quite the diameter difference from front to back, I'm going to have to block up this end a little bit, just to account for the taper. So this is about 1.5 inch scrap. It's about what I want, compensating for my taper. Wicked bugs got into this. So all I do is I take the digging bar, so I know I can get it up. And I'll take my power buckling strap off because I don't need that on there anymore. There. We're right up against the stops now. So my mill has a cam style locking box. So I like to bring it at least a third way up the log. Give her a bar, and this log isn't going anywhere. So hope you like that slightly different video. I'll have some snippets of when I milled this log up. This log is going into mostly 1-inch wide boards for the new shop floor. Excuse me. Well, it's not mostly; it's entirely going into 1-inch boards for the new shop build. Because I don't have an abundance of larger trees in the property, I use pines for my 1-inch boards. This tree was cut down in 2022. I've got two 14-foot logs that also belong to this tree, and they'll be going into other aspects of this new build. So thanks for watching, everybody. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, comment. Consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks a lot.